Disclaimer. In this story, we will be discussing the disturbing circumstances surrounding the disappearance of Anna Walshe. The suspect in this case is considered innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. This chapter may be triggering for some listeners. This will be the only warning. Please do not listen if you are sensitive to this topic. I know nothing. No. I knew you were going to ask. I know nothing about this.
Okay. So, Anna Walshe, her maiden name, I'm not even going to attempt it. I'm really not. It's spelled Ljubicic.
And it's not normal C's. It's like...
No, it's got little atrophies or whatever be above the C's. So we're just going to leave her as Anna Walshe. Was born in Belgrade, Serbia in 1983. She was raised in Belgrade, where she attended the 5th Belgrade Gymnasium and obtained a Bachelor of Arts in French Language and Literature from the University of Belgrade. She immigrated to the United States in 2005, eventually becoming a dual citizen.
What's that?
So she had citizenship in the U.S. and Serbia.
Yeah, duh.
She met Brian Walshe during her 2 years working at the Wheatley Hotel in Lenox, Massachusetts. Two shits.
Massive two shits.
My bad. I apologize. She and Brian married in 2016. They subsequently had 3 sons who at the time of her disappearance were ages 2, 4, and 6.
That's sad.
Yeah. So after working at several more hotels, Anna Walshe became a regional general manager at the real estate company Tishman Speyer in February 2022, splitting her time between her home with Brian in Cohasset, Massachusetts, and a resident. She also had a residence in Washington, D.C., where she worked. So just to make things easier, I'm going to stop trying to say Massachusetts. Massachusetts.
Like, it's so funny because I used to be able to say it.
I could say it.
Yeah, and then one day I went massive two shits. Ha ha ha. And now I can't. Like, even if I try to say it normally, the end sounds like I'm saying shits no matter what.
Massachusetts. Oh, I did it. There.
Massachusetts. I did it too.
Yeah, so we can edit now. I'm just kidding. Don't, because it's kind of funny, but
it is funny.
No disrespect intended. My Canadian tongue will not allow me to say Massachusetts.
Okay, and if you choose not to, we'll just call it Massa, because I think some people do.
Yeah. Yeah. So, again, I apologize. Moving on. I digress. Also, during this time in 2021, Brian pleaded guilty in federal court on 3 charges of fraud relating to selling counterfeit Andy Warhol paintings.
Damn.
At the time of Anna's disappearance, he was on house arrest awaiting sentencing. Here's the backstory on that. So Brian Walshe was indicted on federal fraud charges in October 2018 for allegedly selling these fake Warhol paintings online. FBI investigators alleged that Brian or Anna Walshe used her eBay account to sell the paintings in November of 2016, less than a year after they were married. The complaint doesn't charge Anna with any wrongdoing, but states that she spoke to the person who purchased the fakes after the buyer learned paintings were not authentic and located her work number.
Oof, imagine that.
The document also alleged that Brian Walshe took real artwork from a friend to sell, but never did. He also did not compensate the friend for the artwork. Brian pleaded not guilty to wire fraud, interstate transportation for a scheme to defraud, possession of converted goods, and unlawful monetary transaction in November 2018. So in April 2021, Brian pleaded guilty to the 3 of the 4 counts in exchange for a recommended sentence of incarceration, supervised release, fines, restitution, and forfeiture. He also agreed to either return the artwork or to pay for them. As part of his pre-sentencing probation, Brian was placed on monitoring and house arrest. He could request to leave his home, but he had to detail like where he was going, specific times, reasons, and all that kind of stuff. So jumping back to New Year's Day of this year, 2023. The Walshes had a friend of Brian's had dinner together on New Year's Eve, 2022. According to the friend, he left the Walshes' house at about 1:30 a.m. He said that the visit was enjoyable but normal, that there were no signs of anything that was bothering either Brian or Anna. Brian says that he spent the following day in Swampscott with his mother, but that Anna had left early for her flight from Boston to Washington due to a work emergency. Brian said that Anna took a taxi to the airport around 4 a.m.
Okay, so you've said this is the disappearance of Anna Walshe. So far, if she actually had a flight booked, making sense, maybe. Like, I'm guessing he's painting the picture of her getting nabbed.
Right. So for some reason,
allegedly,
there was a work emergency that she had to leave early. I believe her original flight, which I get into here soon, was booked for, I want to say the 3rd or 4th, but we'll get into it.
Okay.
But this was an emergency call and she had to leave basically right away on the 1st at 4 a.m. But on January 4th, both Anna's employer and Brian Walshe reported Anna missing.
January 4th, and her flight would have been New Year's Day?
Is when she left, yeah.
Is when she left, meaning the
3
didn't.
days.
That's weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, and I mean, keep in mind that if not for this work emergency, quote unquote, her work wouldn't have been expecting her till, I think, the 3rd or the 4th. Right. So it was previously booked for the 3rd. So her work wasn't expecting her until the 4th. So when they called looking for her, Brian's like, oh, she left on the 1st. There's something wrong.
Oh, and Anna obviously is the one. I'm already picking up the suspiciousness here.
Mm-hmm. So Brian told the police that Anna had left the house early for a flight from Boston's Logan International Airport to Washington after a work emergency caused her to move a scheduled trip that was, like I said, scheduled on January 3rd. Police could not confirm whether she had gotten a flight or gotten a ride to the airport on January 1st. They found that while she had indeed previously booked a flight for January 3rd, she had not gotten on it, and that her credit and debit cards had not been used since January 1st.
So they couldn't confirm if she had gotten on a flight or gotten a ride to the airport. So do they even know if like a flight was purchased?
It was not.
It was not. Okay.
There are no records to show that she purchased a flight on January 1st.
Just want to add on to the suspiciousness that even if your relationship is like not even very strong, you're talking to each other every day, whether it's just a quick text. The fuck, bro?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So Brian's story for January 1st was pretty vanilla. He told police that the morning of New Year's Day, Anna got ready and kissed him goodbye and told him to go back to sleep. She usually took an Uber, a Lyft, or a taxi to the airport, and she had left between 6 and 7 a.m. It wasn't until a couple of days later, when Anna's employer contacted Brian looking for Anna, that both Brian and the employer reported her missing. That was his story to the police.
It's weird.
According to prosecutors, now Brian Walshe made a series of Google searches on his son's iPad, including how long before a body starts to smell.
That's this case. Okay, so I do know.
10 ways to dispose of a dead body if you really need to. How long for someone to be missing to inherit. And how to clean blood from a wooden floor. There are even more Google searches that I'll get into in a little bit here.
Does he say, like, it wasn't me, it was my son? I don't know why my boy was searching that stuff. That's weird.
Surprisingly, he did not blame his son. So as early as their first visit to the Walshes' home on January 4th, detectives noticed a piece of plastic lining in the trunk of Brian's SUV. At the arraignment on April 27th, prosecutors said investigators had found blood in different areas of the SUV, including the trunk. He told police he then went to see his mother around 4 p.m. in Swampscott, like I said before. And that's about an hour's drive from Cohasset. But he didn't have his cell phone and got lost, making that trip take longer than usual. He said he left his mother's house within about 15 minutes of arriving to run errands for her at Whole Foods and CVS. Brian told police he eventually returned home to Cohasset around 8 p.m., but prosecutors say the evidence from January 1st tells a far different story than what Brian had told them.
You don't say. It's weird. Like, it's kind of funny in a way. Like, it's sad because it's like what happened to her, but it's like, are people actually that stupid where they'll be like, how to get rid of a body after I murdered it because I was mad because she was leaving for work? Like, they just like confess via technology.
Yeah, and I mean, his Google searches get so much worse. Like, just
oh no,
hang on, it's ridiculous. So Brian had told the babysitter and a family friend that he had lost his phone, but subsequent analysis of his phone determined that it was actually plugged in the morning of January 1st. However, while his phone stayed at the house, his oldest child's cell phone did not.
Are you kidding me? He was like, haha, they won't track me, but are you fucking kidding me?
No, this is what he did.
Oh my God.
So Chief William Quigley reports that the Cohasset Police Department was seeking the public's assistance in locating a missing resident who was last seen in the early morning hours of January 1st. Anna Walshe, age 39, was last seen in her home at Cohasset shortly after midnight on New Year's Day. So they were taking the friend's time as the last time, confirmed time she was seen. Wasn't listening to the husband at this point.
Okay, I'm sorry. I just want to like add like a little tidbit. When you were talking and you said like, you know, his phone was plugged in and it stayed at the house, like I was like, oh, okay, like maybe he does know what he needs to do to get away with murder. And then like you kept going and I was like,
And he takes his kid's cell phone thing
covered with something so much stupider because it makes it even more suspicious.
Right. And people keep asking motive, and I mean, we get into a little bit, obviously money. So Anna actually owned multiple properties worth at least $1.88 million.
Did she have life insurance?
I suspect she did.
That's enough, honestly, because of that search that you already read.
Mm-hmm.
That's enough to me.
So cell phone data from January 1st showed that the eldest child's device had traveled to 2 stores. Surveillance video showed Brian walking into those same stores by himself. Around 5:30 p.m., surveillance video showed Brian and his vehicle going to a dumpster in the parking lot of a liquor store and disposing of items before returning to his car. Afterwards, the cell phone data shows the device traveled to the dumpster at an apartment complex where Brian's mother lived. So he's going around to different dumpsters. The phone then traveled to a Lowe's store where Brian is also seen on surveillance footage, where he purchased a few 5-gallon buckets, a hacksaw, 48 terry cloth towels, a full coverage suit like Tyvek suits, 200 disposable rags, trash bags, and cleaning products. Suspicious.
Very. I'm sorry. A full coverage suit. Okay, but like, I feel like these like Lowe's stores and stuff, they should have like a certain like criteria where they just like let police know.
Yeah, like a alert system or something. Oh my God, he's bought a hacksaw and rags and cleaning products and a full body suit. Red flag.
Buckets. Like that's suspicious.
100%.
That's not an everyday purchase.
No, not at all. It gets better, some of the stuff that he purchases, and I mean, it's crazy. So, phone then travels to a CVS store where Brian was also seen on surveillance purchasing 13 different types of hydrogen peroxide.
So,
weird.
Bleach?
No, peroxide is like a disinfectant, kind of, I guess.
Cleaner?
It can be.
Okay.
I mean, for me, I know that my mom used to put peroxide on like cuts. We used to pour peroxide on our hair to make it blonde, which was orange.
Yeah, okay, that's why I thought bleach.
Yeah. But Anna Walsh's cell phone pinged in the area of their Cohasset home on January 1st and 2nd as well. So that's Kind of crazy if she had flown to Washington. What was her cell phone?
Well, it's not crazy because she obviously didn't fly to Washington.
Right. So Brian told investigators that he took one of his children for ice cream at the juice bar in Norwell on January 2nd while the babysitter watched his other two kids. Investigators can confirm that this trip did occur. He then went into Home Goods and purchased 3 rugs. And just after noon, prosecutors said Brian made several more Google searches for hacksaw, best tool to dismember. Can you be charged with murder without a body? Can you identify a body with broken teeth? Some more searches. Fun.
I'm sorry. So I'm guessing that he's just innocent until proven guilty right now due to his trial not hitting yet?
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. So according to surveillance video, Brian traveled to a Home Depot in Rockland wearing a surgical mask and gloves and made a cash purchase where he bought $450 worth of cleaning supplies, including mops, a bucket, tarps, goggles, another hatchet, and baking soda. This is like, I don't know.
What are you going to do with it all when you're done? It's like you're buying all these things to try and like get rid of this body and vanish this body, but it's like with all these tools there, they might be enough, period, dude.
Yeah, and it's almost like as he's going through the process of...
He's like, I fucking need something else. And
that's right, and he's running to the store.
He's
and
like, I got something in my eye, I better get some goggles.
And he's doing these Google searches, and Google's giving him ideas, and he's like, shit, I gotta go to Home Depot now and get that.
Yeah.
So here's some more Google searches after that $450 cleaning supply shopping spree. He made more Google searches, including what happens to hair on a dead body? What is the rate of decomposition of a body found in a plastic bag compared to on surface in the woods? And can baking soda mask or make a body smell good?
What a fucking creep. What a dumbass. Mm-hmm. God, how old was his oldest kid again? 6?
6, I think.
I hope that is he in?
He is in prison.
Okay,
yeah.
cool. Okay.
Phone data tracked Brian's whereabouts to an apartment complex in Abington at 4:27 p.m. Surveillance video shows he exited his car with a heavy garbage bag and put it into a dumpster. At 4:48 p.m., he traveled to another apartment complex in the same town, and at 5:10 p.m., he went to an apartment complex in a different town where he again discarded items in a dumpster. These garbage bags were taken away and incinerated by the time police tracked them down.
What?
Yeah.
But, like, how could that possibly be possible? Like, she was reported missing January 4th. Mm-hmm. And I'm guessing, like, what day?
So when they were looking for her, and now they're going backwards they're looking at surveillance videos and stuff. By the time they found these videos, it was too late. Like, the garbage truck had already come, and their process is to incinerate garbage. So
what a crock.
It was too late.
But even incinerated garbage would be able to be tested, wouldn't it?
You'd think, but so far nada.
Wow.
Brian Walshe visited Home Goods and TJ Maxx to buy towels and bath mats, and visited Lowe's to buy squeegees and a trash can. So Anna Walsh's employer at the real estate company Tishman and Speyer called to report that she didn't show up for her job. According to Brian's defense attorney, he called her workplace to ask whether they knew of her whereabouts before the employer called police.
Okay, and?
So, according to Brian, he hasn't heard from his wife now, so now he's going to try and track her down from work, even though her cell phone is at the house. Days later. Right.
It's like, okay, but if you were actually worried, it would be like the same day that you're not getting texts back, and then like maybe like the next morning. Mm-hmm. And if there was still nothing, it would be like, okay, there's something wrong here and I need to call the police, not her employer.
That's right. You'd think.
Oh, I know. Unless you're guilty. This man is guilty.
Stupid. So Cohasset police went to Anna Walsh's home for a well-being check, according to an affidavit. Brian Walshe spoke with investigators multiple times and provided the timeline for his actions and whereabouts on January 1st and 2nd. Police had noticed that Brian's vehicle had the back seats down and a plastic liner in the back of the car. Police also noticed that the plastic liner was gone from Brian's vehicle, and the carpet of the car showed fresh vacuum streaks when they went back. So Brian told the police that he threw the liner in the trash when they asked him about it.
Like, I wonder if he's sweating at that time. Like, oh no, I just threw it in the trash.
I don't know that
like...
he's smart enough to, like, I don't know.
Yeah, and like police are trained to be like, oh, what happened to that liner? Oh, okay. See you later, friend. Like, making him feel probably.
Don't worry, we'll find your wife for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So cell phone data showed that Brian went to Swampscott again and traveled to the corner of an apartment complex where there is another dumpster. And according to the surveillance, 10 trash bags that originated from this dumpster contained bloodstains. Cleaning materials, a hacksaw, a hatchet, a purse, and boots worn by Anna Walshe, and her COVID-19 vaccination card. So they did find some evidence.
But not her parts.
That's right. So Cohasset police announced that Anna Walshe is missing and asked the public to come forward with any information. Police launched a massive search for Anna. It included canine dogs and officers, search and rescue teams in the wooded areas near her home. At least 6 investigators were tasked with driving to the North Shore area of Massachusetts and watching the surveillance video and trying to verify Walsh's timeline. So that's where they come up with all of these, but it was too late.
Yeah. But at least they got the one bag with boots and like all of that other stuff.
Yeah, they got something.
Yeah.
So at that point, Cohasset police and the state police announced that the search for Anna Walshe was over. Investigators obtained a search warrant for the Walshes' home and found blood and a bloody knife in the basement.
What?
So Brian was arrested and charged with misleading the police investigation, and he was arraigned in court and pleaded not guilty to the charge of misleading police. Prosecutors said that investigators had found no evidence of Anna Walshe taking a rideshare from the couple's home on January 1st. He said his statements to police found no evidence of Anna Walshe taking a rideshare from the couple's home on January 1st. She said that Brian's statements to police caused a delay in the investigation. So the judge set bail at $500,000 cash and set the next hearing for February 9th. Prosecutors released the affidavit in support of a criminal complaint that lays out authorities' timeline of the prior week. The affidavit describes Brian Walsh's statements to police as a clear attempt to mislead and delay investigators.
Yeah, I think that's obvious.
Totally. The affidavit outlines several trips he made that were not requested and approved beforehand, because remember, he's on that house arrest and he has to. So they may represent violations of the terms of that probation. Investigators conducted searches north of Boston and collected a number of items that will be processed and tested. The DA also called Anna Walsh's disappearance, quote unquote, suspicious.
No shit.
It's been suspicious since way before February 9th, but good on them. So according to a source with direct knowledge of the investigation, investigators put crime scene tape around dumpsters near the home of Brian's mother in Swampscott and dug through the trash at a transfer station in Peabody. Both locations are north of Boston. Law enforcement sources told news outlets that investigators found a hacksaw, torn up cloth material, and what appears to be bloodstains at the Peabody site. The evidence was sent for testing. On January 17th, he was charged with his wife's murder and disinterring a body without authority.
Disposing of.
Yeah. I think dismembering, like we call it offering an indignancy to human remains.
Yeah.
I believe that's what we call it here. Prosecutor Beeland accused Brian of dismembering his wife and disposing of her remains in dumpsters. She also laid out some of the evidence that led to the charges, including the discovery of Anna Walsh's belongings and blood in the garbage and Brian Walsh's Google searches.
Did he ever did he ever try to excuse his searches? No.
He hasn't spoken to his Google searches. His attorney speaks for him, obviously, and she's not addressing it either. Huh. No kidding, but she actually had the balls to plead for releasing him on bail or whatever because he was the sole caregiver for the children. But anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
So a not guilty plea was entered on Brian's behalf. His attorney, Mrs. Minor, issued a statement suggesting that the evidence against him was not strong. Quote, "In my experience, where, as here, the prosecution leaks so-called evidence to the press before providing it to me, their case isn't that strong. When they have a strong case, they give me everything as soon as possible. We shall see what they have and what evidence is admissible in court, where the case will be ultimately decided." End quote. So a grand jury did indict Brian on the charges of murder, misleading investigators, and improperly conveying a human body, according to the district attorney.
Indicted. So what does that mean?
Indicted. So they have enough evidence to formally take him to trial for those charges.
Oh, okay.
So on April 27th here, just last month, during Brian's arraignment, we learned even more details about his activities, including a possible motive for killing his wife. Quote, "In December 2022, Mr. Walshe suspected Anna was having an affair. During this time, he would repeatedly access the Instagram page of one of Anna's male friends from Washington, D.C." End quote. So this was the prosecutor.
Which also shows that he was, what's the word for it? He was possessive.
Mm-hmm. Mm. Officials allege Brian's mother on December 26, 2022, with his input and direction, hired a private investigator in Washington to follow Anna around for the purpose of proving infidelity.
Wow. Brian's
attorney denied that her client suspected his wife was having an affair. But his mother did hire a private investigator shortly before New Year's that year. She told Brian that she was doing that, and he told her that she was crazy. Anna is a good girl, but go ahead, you will be proved wrong, according to Brian's lawyer.
So he's putting it on his mother?
Yeah.
This is fucking horrible, dude.
But, I mean, the records show that his mother's money is what paid the PI, so I think they both did it.
For sure.
Trying to prove that she was having an affair.
Out of her own.
No, that just doesn't even make sense. So new released court documents also mention a December 28th meeting between Anna Walshe and a friend, during which Anna became emotional, believing her husband was going to be incarcerated on those federal fraud charges. So she was under stress because she thought that he was going to jail for those charges.
Because he pleaded guilty.
That's right.
Yeah.
So she had intended to relocate with her 3 children to Washington and was prepared to leave Brian. Anna's body has never been found, but personal items and DNA evidence located at a transfer station in Peabody indicate Brian Walshe killed, dismembered, and discarded his wife's body parts. 2 knives and 8 red-brown stains that initially tested positive for the presence of blood were also found in the basement of the couple's Cohasset home. A Hermes watch identical to what Anna Walshe was known to wear was found in a dumpster outside Brian's mom's home. Rugs consistent with those that had been in the couple's home that had red-brown stains, and a piece of a Gucci necklace consistent with one that Anna Walshe wore was also found in the dumpster. The presence of blood was also found in Brian's SUV, specifically areas by the driver's seat and controls, also on the passenger floor mats and the trunk.
So he wasn't smart enough to clean the spots that he touched after handling her body.
No.
Is what that tells me.
I think he forgot to Google that side of things.
He knows how to get off wood, but not the cracks in his window controls.
Mm-hmm. So, like I said before, and also during this preliminary hearing in April, those Google searches were read out loud, like that were made from his son's iPad. That were, remember, can you be charged with murder without a body? How to stop a body from decomposing.
Why did he want to stop it from decomposing?
Well, probably because of the smell, I would suspect.
Oh.
Can you identify a body with broken teeth? And hacksaw, best tool to dismember. There was also a search for how to dispose of a 130-pound female body. Guess how big Anna Walshe was? You can't write this stuff, this guy.
Jesus.
I've actually seen more than one article referring to Brian Walshe as the dumbest criminal in history. And there are so many dumb criminals out there. So is mens rea, which is like your guilty intent.
Yeah.
Is through the roof. Like this guy, what a guy. Why in this day and age would any murderer search anything? Like I can't.
You'd have to be desperate.
I can't even, like okay, I get it. It's Googling something beforehand, but like you can clearly see like the progression of what he was doing, because he would stop, seen on surveillance, and then go back to Google searching, stop, and then seen on surveillance.
The shittiest part is that, I mean, without like the searches, he did, I don't want to say a good job, but he did a thorough job at getting rid of the body.
Oh, he did.
He got rid of the fucking body.
Absolutely.
He succeeded in vanishing the body.
Exactly.
Now, if he had just done that, like... like go to a library and
basically like
search.
Narrating his journey through Google searches, just absolutely,
which honestly questions to me on if he will be found guilty or not, because like is it going to be enough for a jury?
I would think so. I mean I would think so. Those Google searches and the
but it's just
timeline and his
doubt.
lies.
Yeah. I mean, to me, guilty. He seems so guilty. Like, wow.
Yeah. But, I mean, we're going to have to wait until November 2nd for when his next hearing is scheduled. So I'm going to stick a bookmark in it here and keep you posted if anything happens in the meantime. But, yeah. That is Anna Walshe's tragic story.
Yeah. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to the podcast and share with your friends. If you don't mind giving us a 5-star rating, it will help our show grow. Check out our TikTok, where you can find interesting photos and content on all released episodes. You can also find us on Facebook and YouTube at True Crime Story Podcast, where the discussion can continue. If you wish to contact us, you may do so via email at truecrimestorypod@gmail.com. I'm Bree.
And I'm Char.
And we'll see you on the next chapter. Bye.
Bye.